right, so let's bring you this development on the continent now. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and Tanzania's Samia Hassan Suluhu have signed the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project Agreement. So this deal, we told, paves the way for the construction of a 1,440-kilometer crude oil pipeline from Uganda's Albertine region to Tanzanian seaport of Tanga. In fact, the pipeline is intended to transport crude oil from Uganda's oil fields to the port of Tanga in Tanzania, and that's alongside the Indian Ocean. For more of what to make of this, let's bring in the author of Africa is Open for Business. That's Victor Kgomoeswana, who joins us now via our video link. Victor, always great chatting to you. Thanks so much for making time. For those who aren't following the story closely, help us place the socio-economic significance of a deal like this.
Good morning, Ayanda. Good to see you again. The significance of this is that oil in Uganda has been discovered, or was discovered in 2006 by an Irish company listed on the London Stock Exchange called Tullow Oil. It is the same company that is drilling oil in Ghana as we speak. It's a large player in the world. But eventually there were disagreements with the government of Uganda, particularly the tax authorities, leading to Tullow Oil selling its rights to the China National Oil Corporation, CNOOC, which is a state-owned enterprise, and now Total of France. Total, the company as we know it. And the significance of this is that Uganda is landlocked, which means it will not be able to get its oil to sea. And as you know, exporting takes ports. Tanga port is one between Dar es Salaam, the port of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and where we normally find Mount Kilimanjaro. So the significance of this 1,400 or so kilometer pipeline is that the 3.5 billion initial investment could have spin-offs of more than $16 billion in jobs and other economic spin-offs. It's an important one, although I'm disappointed. I thought the bulk of the oil would be refined. But as you know, once China gets involved in your natural resources, Ayanda, it wants to take the oil out, and that's what's going to happen. But at least it will conclude something that's been long outstanding, and let's see how the benefits are.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the potential risks in just a moment. I just want to continue connecting the dots for a moment if I can. I'm told that the extraction will also take place in part through the aid of Total SA. Is that the only connection that this country has to this project?
Well, the Total is a French company, if you think about it. So, yeah, we're talking more France than SA. If the operation in South Africa is involved, I can't be that clear, but the essence of it is that, I mean, yeah, it's a multinational. So you never quite know how these structures are positioned. I'm not quite sure if Rosebank in Johannesburg, which is where Total SA is based, would be getting the bulk of this. But because there is an element of intra-Africa trade, perhaps there will be a benefit of it to South Africa. But in the end, it's still a multinational oil deal that we are looking at. China, I'm sure, has the lion's share of this.
Fair enough. The money you've already punted, $3.5 billion US, the current exchange rate, that goes for about a young 50.1 billion rand. Where's this money coming from?
Do I need to ask that question or answer it? China has a way of putting lots of its own government money into these projects. Remember, Uganda is a small, poor country, well, which is a shame. But China is footing the bill. Total, which is a French multinational, is also putting a bit of this, but the bulk of it is coming from China. And as you know, it is a pipeline. It will be trading, so at least it won't be like funding a physical infrastructure that doesn't have any economic benefits. Because if it does not deliver the benefits, you know what China is want to do. If they don't collect on their money, they take the asset.
Yeah, and you know, I guess those are the potential risks, aren't there? I mean, there's always been what's considered a mild economic colonialism of China within various parts of Africa. I mean, how worried should we be that this is yet another instance where potentially that could happen?
I'm worried because we have lots of development finance institutions on the African continent that could have been part of this. But even more than that, Ayanda, I'm worried that the bulk of the oil is not being refined in Uganda. Because if the refinery had been happening, then the many jobs that would be generated there would make up for the fact that indeed China is dominating the African economic benefit. The other reason that I'm worried about is the environmental impact.
Yeah.
This pipeline, okay, just for context, Albertine region is in the northwest part of Uganda, which means this pipeline will be hugging the Victoria Lake on the south, going towards the port of Tanga, which is towards the north of Ethiopia, so of Tanzania, next to the border with Kenya. So it is quite a long thing. It goes through the Murchison National Falls, which is near the Murchison Falls in Uganda, a very huge tourist attraction. And because of that, there is also a worry. But in the end, I'm just worried that the bulk of the jobs will not be in the downstream industry, because when you export crude, you're not really generating wealth.
Yeah, let's speak a bit more about those environmental threats potentially. There's been various community-based organizations already warning the governments involved to essentially follow specific recommendations or else gear for quite a catastrophe in the future. How bad a catastrophe potentially could that be?
Well, if Greenpeace is involved, Greenpeace International, I think a senior advisor of Greenpeace, a gentleman called Frederick Njebu, was talking about this, but he is now following the Greenpeace line of this is an old-fashioned technology, nobody needs oil. Almost tantamount to say the oil must not be drilled, which is very unsustainable, and it's not going to happen because the money that has gone in has already gone in. The Total website, I checked the website of Total, and they're saying all environmental impact assessment processes have been complied with. That means they would have done and they say something about this being electrically heated, which means the viscosity of the oil will be improved, and therefore it will flow much better. Remember, the risk with an oil pipeline is if communities start feeling they are not getting a fair share of the deal, as we have seen in Nigeria, and they start bunkering the oil, punching holes into the oil to help themselves to it. It can happen. So once that happens, and just in general, the oil leak is a very dangerous oil spill, especially in a lake dominated region like Uganda, where it means the water sources can be affected. It is going to pass near the Victoria Lake, which is the source of the River Nile, among other things, and therefore we are talking huge complications if any leak should happen. So I'm hoping that what is said on the website of Total and the China National Oil Corporation is true, because if not, you saw what happened in the Gulf of Mexico, Ayanda.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty sight if something leaks.
Absolutely, a situation that leaves a lot to be desired. Victor Kgomoeswana, thanks very much. Always great getting your insights on all these developments on the continent.